MMA scraps is why most shows tap out then cry. We the ones like 'em now at the end of the bout with our hands to the...
That event after UFC 111, some people came out and said that they thought that GSP was playing it too safe and John Fitch and him were a little bit boring. We had John Fitch on last week, and when I asked him about, his style, was it boring or exciting, he said that the fans who believe that his style and GSP style is boring aren't true MMA fans. What is your take on GSP and Fitch's style?
Fitch's style and GSP style is one that utilizes, brains and percentages. And that is how they fight. And basically what they do is they look at what their opponent brings and they say, all right, let's rank the ways I can be beaten and put them in order of, most threatening. Okay, well, the most threatening thing that Dan Hardy does is strike. So the thing that I'm going to do first is make sure he doesn't have a chance to strike against me. Plain and simple. Same thing that, a John Fitch would do. He didn't fight Thiago Alves, but obviously with Ben Saunders. But the same thing that GSP did against Thiago Alves and Fitch would do if that would have been the rematch with Thiago. The second thing is what can he do next? Can he ground and pound me? No, I'm not too worried about it. Can he submit me? Yeah. All right, I'm not gonna let him get in guard. I'm not gonna play around with his jiu-jitsu game. Do they need to finish fights? No. There's nothing in anybody's contract that says, if you don't finish, you're not a great mixed martial artist. Would both of them like to finish fights? Absolutely. I think it bothers George that some people are critical of the fact that he hasn't finished the last few fights. But was he trying to finish the entire time, as was Fitch? For sure. And so, I don't think they owe anybody anything to prove that they can get up there with a superior striker and get knocked out. That's not smart. That being said, though, I think that's why some people have talked in the way they've talked about Fitch and GSP. They're just so dominant in being able to neutralize. They would just like to see them neutralize and then finish. And if, Dan Hardy's arm and shoulder wasn't made of rubber, we wouldn't be having this discussion about, GSP as it stands right now. I think the thing with the GSP fight is that, when you look at the GSP-BJ Penn fight, BJ was beat up. He was beat up and beat up bad. Thiago Alves was beat up on the ground and pound. Hardy really wasn't beat up that badly. I saw him a couple of days later in Charlotte, with Andre Winter and Ross Pearson and his teammates from Team Roughhouse, and he didn't look as beat up. Now, do you give credit to Dan Hardy, or do you take away from GSP? I mean, throw it up and let it stick where it's going to stick. But, to answer your question, they're doing what is the smart thing to do, and they're neutralizing their opponent's greatest strength. And to me, that's pretty smart. A smart fighter is not one who stands there and says, try to knock me out and gets knocked out.
Of course, the other thing that came out of UFC 112 was a lot of Anderson Silva talk. What's your thought on Anderson?
Yeah, you know what? It's funny, Travis, and I think people have talked about it ad nauseum. It turns my stomach. It took such a magical evening and tarnished it that I don't know what to think. I don't know what to say. I was rewind to the Talis latest fight, and I was one, maybe of the minority, but I was one of the guys who continuously said, you know what, I kind of blame Talis a little bit. He didn't want to engage. He did fall to his back a lot. He did say, welcome to my jiu-jitsu world, or I'm not going to fight you. And again, dude, I wouldn't even be in the cage in there, so I'm not dissing Talis latest. So I think that there was an argument to a certain degree there that Anderson didn't have the proper chance to engage. Damian Maia engaged. He was right there. The taunting was fun for a little while, and then I thought it got disrespectful. This isn't a game of disrespecting an opponent, especially if dude is wickedly as devoted as you are. I mean, Damian Maia is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt warrior, man. And so why are you dissing this guy? He's a fellow Brazilian. Why? And then when he stops engaging, it just went, wow, that's when we all went, are you kidding me? Is this really happening? So I think Dana, put it as well as anybody, and, we'll let Dana speak for it from an organizational point of view. But it was disappointing. It was upsetting. It was confusing. And more than anything else, it just, it's still, my stomach just gets kind of gets tied in knots thinking about it. And, not only because of, I don't care where it was and when it was. People are paying a lot of money to see the best in the world go at it. you know, and then you add to it this special, magical, historical evening, which was so cool up to that point, and that's what everybody walked away thinking about. It's bothersome, and you know, it sounds to me like Dana's put the line in the sand, and it'll get fixed one way or another.
Full of anger and rage.